Lonnie, could the Accelerons have left some kind of machine inside the realm? You know, maybe something that would help a driver.
He's found a Hyperpod, an Acceleron vehicle transformer.
In the year 2005, Hot Wheels released the Acceleracers series, a series of 36 brand new cars to coincide with the Acceleracers animated series, as most of you watching this are probably already aware of. But in addition to the car series, there were some other Acceleracers toys and accessories, like track sets, a collectible card game, and these things, called Hyperpods. They were larger toy vehicles that were powered by your Acceleracers cars, which could sit in the cockpit, and they would help a driver perform a specific task. They appeared in the show, and they made sure that you noticed too, because every time a character finds one, they would announce it in a not-so-subtle fashion.
A Hyperpod.
A Hyperpod. A Hyperpod.
Today, we're going to take a look at the Driller Hyperpod.
What is this thing?
I don't know, but I like it.
The Driller Hyperpod is pretty self-explanatory. It drills. The smaller Hyperpods typically came with Drift Tech and Power Bomb. This one specifically came with Power Bomb, and the Slam Ram Hyperpod came with Artios 6. There are also versions of these Hyperpods that come with Shredster, Sinistra, and Whipped Creamer 2. They also came with a DVD, which I don't have because I got this one used on eBay. This Hyperpod is made of plastic and has nice detailing, sporting some Acceleron color accents. It's a pretty flashy looking toy and represents its screen counterpart to a T, well, aside from its size, that is. Despite the two spinning drills on the front, the Driller Hyperpod unfortunately can't actually drill anything. Though I feel that would be a pretty poor design choice for a children's toy. 0 out of 5, doesn't actually drill. The top side of this toy may look slick and fancy, but the underside tells a different story. Holy plastic, this undercarriage is more hollow than Hollowback's back. The Driller Hyperpod does not take any batteries and is entirely kid-powered. Or in my case, dorky young adult powered. I think what really sells me on this Hyperpod is that it has this little mechanism in the front that allows the drills to spin whenever the front wheels are turned. It just makes pushing this thing along so much more interesting. Even though I really like the Driller Hyperpod, I do have some gripes with it. The most troubling thing for me is the back gate. It acts as a ramp to drive your car up into the pod, which is all fine and dandy, but the issue is that nothing really holds the ramp in place when you try to close it. This means it's constantly tipping back and forth and often falls if you try to push the pod too quickly. Or maybe the hinge on mine is just loose and worn because I bought this used. I'm not sure. My other issue is with how the cars sit in the pod. There are these two little orange plastic pieces on the inside. I'm not sure if they're supposed to hold the car in place or what, but most of the time, they're just kinda in the way when I'm trying to put a car in. Short cars like Drift Tech and Power Rage aren't an issue, but you'll find that longer cars either don't fit or they sit very awkwardly. Most cars have to sit on top of the plastic notches and it just looks uncomfortable. If I'm doing something wrong here, please let me know. I'm just really confused on how the cars are supposed to sit in this thing. In conclusion, the Driller Hyperpod is a neat little toy that has a place in Acceleracers history. If you're an Acceleracers fan and you happen to come across one on eBay or your local flea market for a low price, I'd say pick it up. It's a great addition to any Acceleracers collection. If you enjoyed this review, then stick around because I plan on doing more videos like this, taking a look at some neat pieces from my Acceleracers collection that some of you guys may not have had the privilege to see up close. I'll see you in the next video. This is Reece of Tesla's Cube signing off. Drive to survive.